We are recording.
Hooray. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the City of London. I'm just going to make myself big so that I can see what's behind me on the screen. I'm standing by the River Thames. The tide is really in at the moment at the eastern end of the City of London. So, and over my shoulder now, looking downstream with I've timed this perfectly, with the sun on it in the late afternoon. The sun is on Tower Bridge, and I said the tide was in. The tide is in so far that I've had to stand up on a public bench, and I'm hoping nobody shouts at me for standing on a public bench. But I'm standing on a public bench so that I can get high enough up that you can see over the top of the top of the floating pontoon, the pier for the ferry boats, for the passenger boats that run up and down on the Thames. I want to be able to see over the top of that to Tower Bridge, because Tower Bridge is the first of the places that I'm gonna tell you a story connected to, and give you a dilemma that somebody faced on Tower Bridge. And then Tower Bridge is that great kind of up and down double bascule. Both the bits in the middle flip up in less than a minute to go from horizontal to vertical, to stop the cars and let the ships through, and then they pop down again, and the cars can go over, horses and carts can go over, and the ships are held one side of the bridge or the other. And back in the day, it might lift 20 or 30 times in a day. Now it might lift 2 or 3 times in a day, and that's in the summer. But it's got a very efficient safety security system now. When they're gonna lift the bridge, a gate closes and traffic lights turn red, and enormously loud klaxons stop any traffic and foot passengers, vehicles driving up onto the bridge. And I guess that they've put that safety and security system in through lessons hard learned, because in 1952, Albert Gunter was the driver of a London double-decker bus and began his crossing over the bridge. And the guys who should have rung a bell, it was just a bell in those days to tell people to stop. There was no gate, no lights, and they rang a bell. But the guy who's supposed to ring the bell to say we're about to lift the bridge did not ring the bell. And Albert Gunter's driving his double-decker London bus with passengers, and he felt the ground start to move under him. And he realized that the bridge was moving and lifting, and his bus was on it. So
Well, Rob is the first one to say, floor it.
Floor it, go forwards, jump the gap. If you do, you've got to do it like immediately. This is a split-second decision. And someone said, was it Georgina said reverse?
Yes, and so did Debbie.
Okay. Now, reverse is time precious as well, because as the bridge goes from horizontal to vertical, it makes a sharper and sharper angle at the back. If you reverse and you don't get on with it straight away, split-second decision, then by the time the bus gets backwards, you'll be flipped over and you'll tumble over with inevitably fatal consequences. I wonder how this story is going to end. We've got some forwards and some backwards. Any other options? Does anybody?
Great suggestion.
Who? Say?
Grace's suggestion was to get the passengers to bridge the gap.
Oh, great! Yeah. Wow. That's just not going to work. The green of the moat. It would have been full of water and mud and slime and all sorts of grisly stuff. People just chucking everything over the wall. You can see the low wall, the outer battlements of the castle that is the Tower of London, and the higher wall beyond that. Now, the Tower of London, built in the 1000s on the instructions of King William the Conqueror. The Tower of London was a palace, and it was a prison and a royal mint, and all sorts of things have happened in there over the years. But certainly it's a place where you've been able to put like high-level prisoners, top-level prisoners. And so the prisoners are going to be part of our story. A ghost is going to end. I mean, I've stood here just so that you can, while I'm telling the story, really just keep your eyes open, because in the evening, on warm evenings, this is the time that a ghost walks along, looking out. A ghost looking out as if they're really trying to find someone or something. And they say that people who see the ghost either feel great anger on their behalf, or they feel like really terrible and guilty. So we've got Arbella and William, and the story's going to end up with a ghost walking the walls. Is it one of them, or is it somebody else? Any offers on how this story is going to pan out? I'm going to tell you the story, and I'm going to ask another question as we go along as well. But how do you reckon? Whose ghost is it? Pop your answers in the chat. Give me, or if you've got a wild idea, use your kind of wavy hand function, and you can come on screen and tell us. Okay. Definitely. Well, I haven't gone very far away. Just crossed over the road, and I'm by the Tower of London still. For the next story I want to tell you, very particular to this spot, and this is Tower Hill. I'll turn around and show you this hotel. Underneath this hotel is Tower Hill Underground Station, so I'm definitely at Tower Hill. So it's a lovely spot. I mean, apart from the noisy road, and it is a noisy road, this is a war memorial, a First World War memorial to sailors in the Merchant Marine, not in the Royal Navy, but in the Merchant Marine, sailors who lost their lives in the First World War. And then the whole monument was extended with gardens that are sunken behind me now, with both memorials with the names of the tens of thousands of sailors who lost their lives in the First and Second World Wars. And we're right by the river. This is Neptune looking out over Trinity Square, which is where we are. And Neptune is with his trident for Trinity Square. It's all about command of the sea. This building was built to be the HQ of the Port of London Authority. But so this is all modern stuff. It is a gorgeous spot, Paul, yes. And it's a gorgeous spot now, because in the 16th century, the 1500s, this was a site of public execution. And they end up with 6 heads and 6 bodies, and they've got to put them all together again. And Hilary Mantel, to my enormous entertainment, posed the question, how do they decide which one to go with which? So I'm going to give you 2 unpleasant answers. Thanks, Kate. Kate says, don't forget to move. I'm going to give you two unpleasant answers, and you've got to tell us which one you write in the chat. But if you the one person who knew which head was which body, presumably, was Anne Boleyn. They could have asked her, but I mean that would have been a tough thing to do. Or in a different way, but equally tough, they could have just like assigned a head to a body at random, put them in a coffin, and buried them. Okay, I'm on the move now, but I want to know, what do you think they would do? And the source of the answer is Hilary Mantel, who certainly did her homework and did her research. But I don't know if anybody really knows what the answer to this question is. But it's such a, I'm going to flip my camera around again. I'm walking underneath the building and through like an open space at the bottom that does have a gorgeous ceiling. There's some music playing that you might be able to hear. But this is like I'm holding my camera straight up. And the whole ceiling of this courtyard is a gigantic video screen. And reasons for me to show you this, number one is because it's really, really cool. The video image changes a lot. Sometimes you're underwater and you're looking up through water. Sometimes it's a live stream of what the sky is doing at the moment. And sometimes it's forests or cityscapes. And to say, oh, a bit windy. And the other reason to show you that is to say we're somewhere that's oozing money in the City of London here. I'm gonna do a little kind of turnaround here, come out the other side of the building, And so I'm at Fen Court. And the building away down the street is the Lloyd's Insurance Building. This end of the City of London is all about insurance and reinsurance. So the Lloyd's Insurance Building looks green, and that is the reflection of the green stripes on the top of the building that have just come out from underneath. And it's so clever because as you look at all these other buildings, they're all done in glass, but there are lots of places that there's a greenish tinge to, yellows and oranges. And this one building has changed the look of all the other places around here. So, and now the last of the questions I'm going to pose to you, very deliberately in this part of London, is about the future. You know, we've done a load of history, and but I want to talk future with you, and I'm going to just see if we can get just a sense of how magnificent the city. If you can see something, well, that blue there, that's the roof of the 120 Fenchurch Street building, but reflecting blue on this side because the sun is striking it in quite a different way. You'll see green reflected in other windows here. Some great buildings around here. The Willis building is behind me, insurance. And then we're seeing this building here with the green light on it is the Lloyd's Insurance Building, this bowerless building. The style of architecture is called bowerism because your guts are on the outside. All these pipes are the air and the water and all the functionality, even the lifts are on the outside of the building. And you can see this is the fire escape of the bowerless Lloyd's building, but reflected in the glass of the Willis building. I mean, it's great. Real life tours are still allowed here. I can give you a tour through the City of London and the architecture. It's fantastic and amazing. And behind me now is the walkie-talkie building. But the City of London is absolutely at the cusp of a change. Last year, 400,000 people every morning commuted into these tall buildings. Nobody lives here, or almost nobody lives here. Hardly anybody lives in the City of London, this whole square mile. There's a bit of the gherkin. 400,000 people coming in the morning, 400,000 people going home again at the end of the day. Nobody living here. And of course now, it's like 4 people commute in here in the morning and go home at the end of the day, maybe 400. But like people just aren't coming in here. So there's a really big question being posed for the City of London.